And it's time for this.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover. Brought to you by station sponsor Kelli Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.
Kelli Naturopath joins us over Zoom. Kelli, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
So good to have you. So tonight we are talking about nutrient deficiencies. And can I just say, I've missed Wellness Wednesdays. I haven't been here for the last two.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It has been a little while, but good to be able to chat with you again about health and well-being. We're talking about nutrient deficiencies. Holly, did you want to ask the first question?
I would love to. So the first question we have is, are nutrient deficiencies common? And what are some common signs of nutrient deficiencies? It's a bit of a loaded question.
Yeah, it's a big question, but that's okay. So, yes, nutrient deficiencies are common. So globally they're common. And so globally, I guess, when you're looking at other countries and third world countries, obviously that's very common because there's a lack of food. But even in countries like Australia, Western countries, there are still quite a number of nutrient deficiencies that people can have because of the changes in processing and the way that we store food and pick food and farm food. Nutrients aren't necessarily in the soil. So, yes, they can be very common. Mm-hmm. In terms of, what are some signs of nutrient deficiencies? Well, there's a few, I guess, there's a whole load of different things. But if we're talking about physical signs, things like, mouth ulcers and cuts in the corner of the mouth, they can be signs of B vitamin deficiency or iron deficiency, slow wound healing, fatigue's not a very specific one, but that's a common to a lot of them. Yeah. And things like, something like magnesium, which is a really common deficiency in our population, things like muscle cramps, twitches, eye twitches, muscle tension, heart palpitations, anxiety, sore tongue, brain fog, many things that could contribute or could, be a sign of a low nutrient status.
Yeah. I think you've already kind of answered it a little bit, but because here in Australia, you wouldn't think that we would have nutrient deficiencies given the vast variety of fresh food and vegetables and fruits and things that we have access to. But can people still have nutrient deficiencies, Kelli, if they do eat a wide variety of foods?
Yeah, they can, because there are a number of factors that go into, what determines someone's nutrient status. So I did mention already there's the external factors, so whether those minerals or nutrients are actually in the soil or whether those nutrients have been impacted by food processing or storage. But then there's the things that are specific to the individual. So someone's age, whether they're taking any medications, whether they've got certain health medical conditions, or, someone's gut health. So, if, you could be eating all these wonderful foods and not really being able to absorb them into the body. And so that can be a problem as well. And things like stress as well, because our body uses uses those nutrients much faster and requires a lot more, and so that can be cause or be a contributor to a nutrient deficiency as well.
Really, really interesting. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we are going to chat a little bit more about nutrients and supplements and how to actually top up some of those nutrients in our bodies. Really interesting stuff tonight. Kelli Naturopath joins us for Wellness Wednesday. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to The Takeover on Life FM. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
We're really glad to be chatting with you tonight because we're talking about nutrient deficiencies, and it's something that, young people may not necessarily think about very often. It's something that when we hear about nutrient deficiencies, we may associate that with the older population, but it is something that definitely can impact on us younger people as well. Contributions to nutrient deficiencies. I know you touched on it a little bit just before the song, but what would you say are some of the common contributions more specifically?
Yeah, well, I think if we sort of break it down to life stage, that can be a really significant thing. So the key stages where there's a really high risk of developing a nutritional deficiencies, putting aside medical conditions and other things, would be sort of in the teen years and the adolescent years. So these are the most demanding times in a person's life from a nutritional perspective.
Right.
Because you are growing and developing at such a fast rate that your body has such an intense requirement for a whole range of different nutrients. So it's also a time as well where people tend to become more independent in their eating, and depending on, what they like, there's probably more fast food coming in, more processed convenience foods coming in, you're eating out a lot more. So that can also be a contributing factor as well. So it's a really, really important time to be mindful of what you are choosing to eat, not in a way that, causes you stress or not to become obsessive, but in a way that, you're looking to nourish your body in a way that's going to help you develop and grow and stay healthy.
Yeah, awesome. That's such good advice. And speaking of advice, another question I have is, when it comes to nutrient supplements, it's something that we hear so much about. What are the pros and cons, and what are some things that we might need to be aware of?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, it's important to understand that diet always comes first. So that's the foundation. Yep. And then we'll use supplements where we've identified a nutrient deficiency, or where we feel the diet needs a bit of a top-up, or where that person could use a bit of extra support with those nutrients. The things to be mindful of when choosing supplements is really, ideally, you should get some advice around them, because there's a whole range. I'm sure if you've walked into any chemist or health food store lately, you'll realise how overwhelming, how many options there are to choose from.
So many.
Knowing what to choose is really important, because the quality makes a difference, what dose you take makes a difference, and the form that you take it in makes a difference. So understanding what you need is really important. And that's why getting some advice, always recommend, having a thorough nutritional assessment where someone can look at your diet and your individual needs and give you some advice around that. And then help you discern what it is that you need in terms of supplements, or if you need those things at all.
Do you think sometimes we do get told that we need something even if it's not necessarily true, or it's kind of like marketed to us even if we don't really need it? Like, does that happen quite often, Kelli?
Yeah, absolutely it happens, because, they want you to buy the product, right?
Yeah.
So, that can happen. And, and there's a lot of generalizations made as well, because it's difficult in that sort of mass market arena to give advice for the individual, but it's marketed to, the broader population.
Yeah.
So knowing what you need is important.
For sure. Okay, so some great advice there. Kelli K, Naturopath, so interesting to be chatting to you tonight about nutrient deficiencies, a wealth of knowledge. If we want more information, we can check out your website as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. kellik.com.au. You can go there for some information for sure.
And also on socials, Kelli K Naturopath. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Kelli. We really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us about how we can become healthier human beings. We always love having a chat with you. So thank you so much.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover, brought to you by station sponsor Kelli K Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.